Okay, so I'm going to start here in a few minutes. I'm just waiting for some other people to drop in here for 1 second, and then we'll get going. I'm just going to put some links out to make sure that I have this out there in the right places, and then we'll get started. I'm glad to have you. My friend Seiko's here. Good to see you. Welcome, Dave. We'll be starting in a minute. Welcome, X. I remember you from the Seiko show. Thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it. I'm going to get started here. All right. Welcome to HomoSanity, the HomoSanity show. This is my first broadcast that I'm doing, giving this an experiment, trying this out, and I appreciate you guys coming in to check it out. I want to give a shout out to Seiko and anybody he brought along to support me in this new venture that I'm doing. I can't thank him enough, and I'm going to have him speak in a little bit. So I appreciate him and any of his friends that he invited to come out. I want to thank my Swellcast listeners and my listeners on Facebook, and any other platforms that are listening right now. I am on Swellcast and Podbean and Spotify, so you can find me there under the same name. If you want to check out any of my other recordings where I do transformation by music, and you can also join on that transformation by music. What that is about is if you have a favorite song that has transformed your life, I will talk about that song with you, and we'll go over that. And it's really a moving experience, and you can listen to that and see how that goes and see if that's for you. I would love to have you on. I'm doing that because I think in this day and age where we have so much division and so much darkness in the world, we need things that unify us and uplift us. So that's another new venture of the HomoSanity show that I've been doing. Just a little bit about me. I'm not going to do a lot about me. That'll come maybe in the middle of the show because I really don't want to blab a whole lot. I want to get to some topics that'll be fun and interesting. But I come from a background I was a real spiritual kid. I was a hyper kid, but I was also very spiritual. I had some spiritual awareness when I was younger. And I was also called a sissy and a fag a lot. And I noticed that I was different from younger boys also. But what ended up happening, just in brief, was that in the context of my religion, it became a conflict. Yeah, right. X, sissy, and the F word a lot. And I was like, oh. And I was hoping I wasn't that because that would be the worst thing you could be in my world. But in the context of my faith as it grew, and I grew into the fundamentalist Christian circles because they had the most lively praise and worship music. They were actually breaking out of the traditional boxes that I was in. It just so happened to also be that you were, sexually speaking, it was kind of a shameful thing. You were to be producing, sex was a thing for production between a man and a woman. Anything outside of that was seen as sinful. And I was like, ooh, I have a problem because I really like men. And it grew and grew. I did have some crushes on women, but that really dissipated over time even more. So I did not want to be gay. My parents didn't drive that in me. It was probably more an outside thing, but so I went into ex-gay ministry and reparative therapy as a very lonely young man who felt like he was sure this wasn't who he was. And I spent a good 15 years doing that stuff, and it didn't work out, and I came out later in life. All right, so that aside, that's just a little bit about me. I am here as HomoSanity to bring sanity to the gay world. And I'm not just speaking to gays. I have things to say about to the straight world, to the gay world, things to talk about, topics to talk about. And I look critically not only at those areas, but myself too. Matter of fact, last night, I just got to say this, I really wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm a little on edge because last night I was in a group and it was about internal homophobia. And I realized that, gosh, I'm 53 and I still have some internalized homophobia that I have to work on. I just couldn't believe it. Um, that I still have that myself, and I'm a gay man. I didn't think that I would have homophobia myself, but I do. Um, Probably because I was called a sissy so much that I don't like seeing that in another gay man. Well, that kind of made sense after the person talked about that I might have a problem if I see another man acting that way, because I didn't like it in myself so much. But one thing I will say about that is that I still think, I don't know, it's just something I think about, but I still think that in our gay community that we have some growing up to do. And I don't know, it's something I'm still working on, and I'm not sure if it's internalized homophobia or if it's true or not. But I wish that we as a community weren't such a circus all the time. Um, and I feel like some things that were asked to accept are actually shallow masks that people are carrying. Because I find that um, when I try to get to know people, um, it's a lot about sex and biatchy kind of stuff that I just don't resonate with, and I shut down. Um, Thank you, X. X says he agrees. So I know I got stuff to work on, and if I keep doing this show, you will hear that. I definitely got stuff to work on, but I think the community does too. All right. So that said, just so you know, I will give you time to come on and speak to, and as well as the chat. But I want to talk about Christian bookstores. Remember Christian bookstores, which are not as popular today, but they used to be the Five Below of Barnes and Noble, as I thought them to be. Um, they always had the girl with the permed on the perm on the perms, permed hair in them. Usually some ambiguously gay guy working there. But he was never really all that attractive, just kind of looked a little creepy. And maybe sometimes if you were in there, you'd run into somebody that was like a Kirk Cameron, might look like a Kirk Cameron, who back in my day was like the nerd version of Zac Efron to us who were nerds. There was something really attractive about him to us nerdy guys. Um, Whatever happened to Kirk Cameron? I mean, he became this left behind evangelical who quickly replaced his charm and sex appeal with homophobia and Trumpism. How did that happen? He was so cool. I just don't understand it. I know, right? I mean, kudos to him. He's taken on scholastic books for supposedly glamorizing transgenders and sexually explicit material because I know I got a hard on from scholastic books. Meanwhile, people are killing themselves because of the very rejection he perpetrates rather than truly being Christ like. But no worries. You guys, don't worry. He's now looking like E.T.'s cousin, twice removed than the stud he once was. So the universe is paying him back in a way. But I fear when he stands before God, thinking he's done God's work. Kudos, Kirk Cameron. But let's get back to the topic, shall we, of Christian bookstores. Christian bookstores were exciting. They were the modern thing you could do, right? You didn't have a lot of modern things you could do as a Christian, but you could go to that Christian bookstore and it had everything. They were the modern thing. And if you were closeted and you went there and someone was hot, it was like, dear me, I'm not supposed to be feeling this way, right? It was confusing. It really was. But before I get more into that, actually, I want to make sure that I don't lose this person and I want him to come on. So I'm actually going to invite him to come on, and I want to invite Seiko. Seiko, if you want to come on, and I know you had something to share about Christian bookstores too, but I'd like you to come on. And I hope I'm doing this right. There we go. Seiko, my dear friend, I know you had stuff to share, something about Christian bookstores, and we'd like to hear more about your show also.
Well, hey, everybody from Nashville, Tennessee. I am happy and honored that you are trying out the live side, and I'm glad to be here tonight.
Thank you so much, Seiko. I just, like I said, I so appreciate you. You had something to say the other day that was pretty hilarious about a Christian bookstore you came across the other day, which are rare that you see them anymore.
Yeah, they really are rare. You know, we're down here in the Bible Belt, and so there's a church on every corner. Sometimes there's more than 4 churches on the 4 corners. So when we lost a lot of our family bookstores, they left the malls and then they left their single buildings. We were like, what is going on? And we just kind of contributed it to, well, everyone's buying online, everyone's doing Prime Amazon. But we finally got one back. And for those of you that don't know, I'm a part of a ministry with my husband, and he's a pastor of a church. So we needed a local. You know, there's only so much you can do with Amazon Prime. So we finally got one over here by Rivergate Mall, which is not the best part of town. And instead of, I was laughing, and I was telling you about this the other day, is instead of just saying Bibles, 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 or we got you covered by the blood, come on in. It's called Discount Bibles, and I just, you know me, I can rant and talk about anything all the way to the floor. So I started coming up with funny titles like I can't afford Jesus Christ, or I can't afford God, but I can afford cheap Jesus. So instead of them saying discounting Jesus, they should have called it something like poorjesus.com
Okay.
or I don't know. It should have just been something fun. If you're going to say you're discounting on Bibles, it should have been something really fun that you could twist on it, like
Yeah, really.
poor Jesus loves you too, open 9 to 5, you know. But I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be blasphemous, but you know me, I have to laugh about everything. If not, I'd probably lose what little mind I have.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Seiko, so tell us about your show and where people can find you.
Yeah, well, I used to be a talk show just kind of plopped in my lap. There was a homegrown gay radio station here in Nashville, and they just couldn't get enough funds up. There weren't enough sponsorships, so I was formally I had my own queer talk show on Q72.5 gaypublicradio.com. It's still up. They're trying to figure out the financial situation, but for now, everyone around me said, "Lord, give this queer outlet. He needs to talk." So everyone kept saying, "Don't stop the show. Keep going. Keep doing something." So one of my friends said, "You need to be on a podcast." So that's how we switched the Seiko show, which was live on the radio for several months. We switched it over to this forum. So you can find me for many topics on Swell. And of course, everyone's on Facebook and TikTok. You can find me. The links are there. But primarily, I'm on Podbean right here. I'm just 2 doors down from yours. And So if you guys are interested in saying howdy and, like I always say, discussing all things queer, come on over to the Seiko Show every Tuesday night, 7 Central Live, and we'll do just that. We'll get a gaggle of gays and talk it up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Seiko. And thank you so much for being here tonight. It means the world to me.
Well, it's my pleasure. I wouldn't have said no. You already helped me a few weeks ago, so the favor is now complete.
Right. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So we're going to continue on, and I see so many here. Thank you, DB, for coming in from the Seiko show. So one thing they never, some of you may, what I'm about to talk about and kind of do a acting thing is going to be somewhat similar from the Seiko show that I did, but it'll be different a little bit. So one thing they never sold in a Christian bookstore was porn. Oh, what are you talking about, Mr. Jameson? But could you imagine what Christian porn would look like? What are you talking about? If they had booths in the back, maybe someone lifted up a pant leg and instead of a plain white sock, it was multicolored. Oh my goodness. A guy in a Hanes white t-shirt. You guys, I'm sweating already. I think, I really think I'm getting a vision for this. Some of you from the Seiko show know what's coming, but it's going to be different this time, so don't think you know. Let's play this out. My ideal scene in a Christian bookstore. Two guys are by the CD section. They look entirely different, but oddly enough, their voices are similar. Hey, hi, how are you? Good, good. And you? Well, wait, I got to start over, everybody. I'm programmed from Scruff Apps. Let's start with some swanky music. So let me get some music going. Hey there, what are you looking for? Some worship music, dude. Dude, me too. Really? Yeah. Hey there. Oops, I lost my script. Hold on. All right, that's live for you, right? My script jumped from me. Dude, me too. Music playing there. I love it. Oh my God, that is my favorite song they're playing overhead. It's so titillating. Hey, don't use that word, all right? Oh, because it's the word tit. No, well, maybe, look, you're hot, dude. I just don't like that word, okay? Dude, you're hot too. Dude, I like when you call me dude. Me too. It's so hot. So hot. Hey, show me a little shoulder. Here, I guess. Yeah, let's go over here though. I want something to block us. All right. What are these? It's a spiral of gospel tracks you can choose to hand out in place of Halloween candy. Cool. All right, so now show me some shoulder. Okay, I guess. Oh wow, that's pointy. You don't like it? Dude, I do. You could dig around with that thing. You diet, huh? I'm on the 40-day Jesus fast diet, day 28. That's hot. So hot. Though I'm dizzy all the time. I'm sure Jesus was too. He walked away a lot from his disciples. That's true, dude. What kind of underwear do you wear? Fruit of the Loom, the color too. No way. Oh my God, not the tidy whities? Nope. So hot. So hot. What about you? Me? I got pants over my pants. Dear God, man, I have to get you out of those and make you come. Come where? Pardon me, gentlemen. says the store clerk. May I help you? Oh, we're fine, they say in unison. Do you hear that music overhead? It's my favorite song. I love it. It's so titillating, she growled with a raised eyebrow. The two replied in unison, Pardon me. To be continued for another time. All right. That's my crazy little radio skit like they used to do back in the old days. Probably terrible, but have to do it. Have to do it. My crazy sense of humor. All right. Let's change topics and let's talk briefly about something else a little more seriously, and that is the dick in dictionary. Maybe you know what I'm getting towards. You know places like Florida and Texas, and I want you guys to chime in on this, and this is where I'm going to invite you to speak. You can come on and speak, or if you want to just stay in the chats with this, you can also. Um, oh, hold on one second. Didn't mean to do that. Getting used to this dashboard. It's different for me. Places like Florida and Texas are getting to the point where I think they should be strapped to the space shuttle and sent off into space. We have so many steps backwards in those states. I think it's kind of unbelievable. The most recent being a county in Florida, I'm sure you've heard, that has put books like the dictionary, encyclopedia, and even the Bible off their shelves because of supposedly sexually explicit potential. Not that these things aren't already accessible online. I don't get what they're thinking except that they're not thinking. I don't know. I want to give you my take on this and then get your take, guys. I think part of this is a fear of the moves forward we have made as a human species by the basis elements in our society. And we have to be sure not to let that happen. On the other hand, I also think this is one of the things, some of it, I don't know. I think some of it is more about divisiveness and creating division because the reality is these things can be accessed online. No one uses an encyclopedia anymore. Who's going into a library using an encyclopedia? I don't know. But as bad as it is, this was one county in Florida, and you have reports that the entire state was doing it, right? It's not out of the question at all that this would happen in the entire state of Florida because of all the loony stuff happening down there. And they are moving in crazy directions, but still. So I'm curious what you guys' take is. Please feel free to put in a chat or if you want to come on and speak, if you have anything to say on that. I also at this time just want to thank my listeners, whether you're listening by recording or not. And you can find me on Podbean, Swellcast, or the Seiko, or not the Seiko show, the Spotify. Goodness. Okay. That's all right if you don't have anything. I just want to give you an opportunity. You can put something in the chat or call in or do the audio invite if you want. But I think it is important that it's not that it shouldn't be addressed because we don't want to be moving backwards, but I think that um, it these things are also used to divide us. Yeah, so Seiko says, please repeat the question. The question, I'm just asking what your take is on this topic of this county in Florida shelving the dictionary, the encyclopedia, the Bible, which did pass inspection, about sexually explicit material. Um, and then, the media is saying, well, Florida's banning the dictionary and encyclopedia, but it was just really one county. Um, how serious do we take these things? Is it being used for divisiveness? What's your take?
Well, if I could chime in real quick, because I'm going to have to
Yeah.
sign off. Hey
Right.
guys, it's Seiko Alford from the Seiko Show. I feel like not only are they really singling themselves out. This is my opinion, but they're taking away American rights. Our rights are that we live here and we should be able to read, write, or say whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm completely against how they're doing these book bans, and they're. Uh, I think it's a negative for our country, and it's actually I have a lot of. I'm a flight attendant. I'm an international purser. I have a lot of friends that don't live in this country, and let me tell you what, a lot of the world is laughing at us, and it certainly is political.
All right. Thank you for that share, Seiko. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll move along here. Thank you for the share. My next thing is I'm going to review a couple movies I wanted to talk about. If you don't know, I also have a blog at Jameson Writing Cafe. So if you go to jamesonwriting.cafe, I have a blog there. One of the things I do is I review movies and shows there. And I wanted to talk about two movies. One is called Rustin, and I believe it was on Netflix or Prime. But Rustin is about an individual that worked with Martin Luther King um, during that time, and he was a homosexual. And it's about his great influence and great amount of suffering, but he persevered and pushed through and got well over hundreds of thousands of people to march on Washington for marginalized people to get things like unemployment, not unemployment, to get more jobs and things like that. It had a stellar cast, all sorts of big name people in it. Even Chris Rock was in it, which he's a comedian, and he took a very serious role in that movie. Um, I want to say that the beginning was I was almost like, oh no, but uh, it just starts rolling right away, and with a lot of people doing phone calls and all that. I didn't care for that. But it is so meaningful, so powerful, um, and the acting is superb. To watch this man go through his journey, and there's some quotes from him that really hit me hard in this movie, and I want to share them with you. Three quotes. One was, "Every indifference to prejudice is suicide, because if I don't fight all bigotry, bigotry itself will be strengthened, and sooner or later it will return on me." So true. If we do nothing, and that's why I do my podcast, if we do nothing, it eventually affects us. Another quote was, "The real radical is that person who has a vision of equality and is willing to do those things that will bring reality closer to that vision." And last, the third quote is, "If we desire a society in which men are brothers, then we must act towards one another with brotherhood. If we can build such a society, then we would have achieved the ultimate goal of human freedom." Wow. Just powerful stuff there, and so many other quotes in that movie. Um, he was pretty much turned away by his own people because he was gay, and he really had to stand up even against Martin Luther King's doubts. And Martin Luther King, in the end, embraced him and publicly endorsed him. But it wasn't easy. So that's a great one to watch. It's either on Netflix, I think it was Netflix or Prime, if you have any of those. Another good one is The Claw. Now, The Claw was a surprise one for me, but I actually think it's Oscar worthy. Now, some of my gay friends were like, yeah, you liked it because Zac Efron was in it shirtless, and um, Jeremy Allen White and all that stuff. And I will tell you the truth, part of me going was because, ooh, I saw some of the ads. I thought, well, worst comes to worst, I have some eye candy. But I'm telling you, this story, which is a true story about a famous family in wrestling, has everything in it. Um, it's about a relationship between brothers who are pitted at each other because of their father, who wants them to be a cookie cutter cutout of world champions. Okay. So it's also about choosing love over idols of success, drug abuse, and suicide. It tackles what defines masculinity and the tragic ways males handle broken dreams. Because men don't cry and men aren't supposed to look weak. All right. I also feel that it's like a ballad for Gen X. So if you are Gen X, you're going to be really gently, I would say, gently, lovingly hit in the gut. Not too bad, but somewhat. Um, so as Gen Eds who lived in a lost generation, I mean, we were told, we're calling you Gen X because we don't know what to do with you. And so we relied on our peers and our siblings a lot more than our elders. So this is a great Gen X movie with great Gen X soundtracks. Has lots of muscle beefcake wrestling outfits, costumes, and there are a series of a lot of sad events, but it's done in a real graceful way. It's not where you walk away depressed. There's some humor. The Kevin, who's the main character, and the family as a whole show themselves as having a fighting spirit, and you don't walk away at the end with a sense of like a big defeat for them. So it's a very great movie to watch if you get a chance. All right, so I'm going to close out with one more thing I want to share with you, which was really interesting in the news. And that is straight men in their underwear. A report was found that 20%, 1 in 5 men, change their underwear once a week. 5% change it every 2 weeks. Women, 9% change once a week. I found that really interesting. And talking to some gay men, bringing this up, they were like, "Are you kidding me? I change mine multiple times a day." Um, and it's funny how people are different. Now, this study was done in the UK, and some of this has been said to be attributed to rising costs in utilities and clothes and stuff like that. But I really don't think that has as big an impact as maybe they want to think. But I did an article on my blog called "What Straight Men Can Learn from Gay Men in Their Underwear," because you know, uh, women, I think, do not want to see holes in the underwear and just all this bland underwear. You could really turn them on by actually looking at what gay men wear. They have sites totally devoted to really sexy, stylish underwear. And the interesting thing about that is, out of any blog post I have ever created, no matter what, deep, uh, transformative, uh, empowering posts that I've ever made, this post is the most popular one that has gotten hits for years and years and years. That post. Um, so I think that's interesting, the differences, and how that is. I guess it's kind of gross for some people. It doesn't surprise me, um, that men are that way. So, anyhow, just a news piece item for you. All right. Well, thank you for listening to the HomoSanity show, the first episode. I will be doing these bi-weekly. So the next one would be on February 8th, same time, same bat channel on Podbean. So I hope to have you back. And I will be continuing to do my transformation by music. Those will be recorded, and you can catch those here and on Spotify. All right. So thank you for coming, and have a great rest of your day.